The 2010 theme comes with 6 pre-configured widgetized areas built in, 2 in the sidebar and 4 in the footer. These can be accessed from the widgets menu in WordPress admin and can be populated with pretty much anything. But what if you want to change these, maybe take some out, or you want to add new widgetized areas elsewhere in the theme? As with the menus, you can add new widgetized areas by registering them in the functions.php file. To remove existing areas, you have to unregister them the same way. Now, before I do anything, let's just take a look at the actual widgetized areas we have by populating them. You see here we have the primary widgetized area and the secondary widgetized area. The primary one already has a bunch of content, so I'm going to go and move some of that content into my secondary area. So I'll add meta and archives to the secondary area and reload the page so you can see it. And you see now we have another box down here with that content. And at the very bottom, we should have some widgetized areas, but they're all conditional, so I have to activate them first. So I'll collapse the secondary one and open first footer, and I'll add recent posts in first footer. Then I'll add recent comments in second footer, and I'll add categories in the third one, and in the final one, I'll add meta again. Now when I reload the page, you'll see that we have 1, 2, 3, 4 areas. The problem is the design that I've created calls for just 3, so the fourth one is kind of stacking at the bottom in an odd way. So I need to get rid of the fourth one. That's the first thing we'll do. Registering and unregistering sidebar widgetized areas is the same process as registering and unregistering menus and headers. So if we go to functions.php that we created, we can already see kind of the structure of that. We have the register nav menus here that register it, and then we have a function called remove default menu with unregister nav menu. That's what we're going to do for the sidebar as well. Before we do that though, we should take a look at the original code so we can see what we're going to unregister. So I'll go to 2010 folder, find functions, and then scroll down to line 373. This is where the actual 2010 widgets reside. And as you can see here, we have a whole bunch of code that defines all of these widgetized areas. Now what I said was I wanted to get rid of the fourth footer widget. So we need to find the name of the fourth footer widget area, which is here, fourth footer widget area. So what we want to do is create a function that removes this one and leaves everything else in place. So I'll go to functions.php, create a couple of new lines at the bottom, and then we'll go to the code snippets and just copy out the first lines of code here. The one that's called function tnc remove widgets and add action tnc remove widgets. When I paste that in, you'll see that, first of all, this syntax is exactly the same as what we did earlier. But more importantly, we now have the same type of control. So we can say unregister sidebar and then define what sidebar to unregister in a function, and then we just call that function after the theme has been called. If I simply save this now and reload this page, you'll see that we now only have 3 widgetized areas at the bottom. And if we go to our widgets and reload them, you'll see that we've lost our fourth footer widget area. That means we can now control what widgetized areas we have and what we turn off from the original theme. But what if I want to add new widgetized areas? Well, it's done the exact same way. If we go to the original functions file, you'll see the syntax for creating a widgetized area. It's pretty logical. In functions, you just create a function, and then you call register sidebar, set an array, and then you define different things like name, ID, description, and then you can even set things like what happens before the widget and what happens after the widget, and the same with the title. So what we're going to do is use this exact syntax to add 2 new widgetized areas. Again, you can go to the code snippets file and find all the code you need to do this. As you can see, it's quite a bit of code, but it's very simple. First, I'm going to go in and create the actual function that creates the new sidebars. So I'll copy out this code here, go into functions, create a couple of more lines at the bottom, and paste them in. And here you see we have a function that's called tnc widgets init, which is just initializing the new widgets. And then we have an action that creates that widget. This is nothing new, but we still have to place the actual code to create the new sidebars here. So I'll go back to my file and then copy out the actual code to replace the sidebars. Here we have 2 sidebars. They're called area 1A and area 1B. I'll copy them and paste it in place of this register sidebar that goes here text. So now we see we have 2 new sidebars called left widget area and right widget area, and they're inside the new function called tnc widget init, which is called down here in an action widgets init. I'll save that, reload the admin panel, and now we have right widget area and left widget area. As you can see, adding or removing widgetized areas from your child theme is no different from adding or removing header images or adding or removing menus. You simply go in and define a new widgetized area using the code from the original functions file, or you go and unregister a widget if you don't want it.